The Fantastic Four First Steps was certainly a step in the right direction for Marvel Studios and the future of the MCU's first family. But one of the biggest complaints about the film was how damn short it was and how lacking it felt when it came to getting to spend intimate downtime with this family. And that's because this movie was chopped to hell in the editing bay, deleting many crucial scenes from the film's final cut. And now with the release of the film on digital and Blu-ray, we have 4 of those deleted scenes to dissect and ask, why were they removed from the film? Hey, welcome back to ScreenCrush. I'm Colton Ogburn, and let's break down the 4 new deleted scenes that Marvel has released alongside the home media release of Fantastic Four First Steps. And after breaking down each new scene, we'll discuss why removing these scenes was a huge mistake that ultimately hurt this movie and robbed it from being one of the MCU's greatest. And hey, by the way, be sure to check out ScreenCrush on all major podcasting platforms and visit our merch store, ScreenCrushMerch.com. All right, our first deleted scene is Fantastic Four Day.
Our city, our country, our planet owe a debt to these intrepid souls. Explorers,
1 minute, everyone.
Heroes, citizens.
This is all a bit aggrandizing.
Saw the script. Worst is over.
Johnny, do I have dust on me?
No, you're good, man.
You're not looking.
Well, Sally's an artist and deserves my attention.
Not that kind of attention.
Places, please.
Sally, you can do better. Trust me. We share a gene pool.
Johnny's end is very, very shallow. Come on.
So, without further ado, on a day which will henceforth be known as Fantastic Four Day.
Going in 10, 9,
Famous
8.
throughout the world as Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, Human Torch, and The Thing. Let's hear it for Reed, Sue, Johnny, and Ben.
Now look, in the final cut of the film that we all saw, the opening montage with the late night host reminding the audience who the Fantastic Four are, that was a great and creative way to tell this version of the Fantastic Four's origin story, but I have to say, it did feel a little presentational. It felt more like a telling rather than a showing, and in filmmaking, it is always better to show the audience what you're going for and what's going on, and granted, this was a very creative way to do an exposition dump without it being obvious, so I do give them their flowers for that. But seeing this deleted scene that could have been like a dry open for the film, that makes me really irritated that they didn't just open the film that way. Don't get me wrong, I like the opening with Sue finding out she's pregnant, but I think that scene needed to come after we met the characters. The way it's presented in the final cut of the film is we open with the scene in the bathroom where she finds out she's pregnant, and then we go back to the story of the late night host telling about the Fantastic Four, and then we cut back to the Baxter building right after Sue and Reed find out they're expecting for the dinner scene. I think this would have flowed so much better if the film just opened with this deleted scene that perfectly shows us who these characters are before we get the big information dump from the late night host. And then we could have cut from that deleted opening scene to the late night show montage, and then after that we go to the scene after the late night show where Sue and Reed are in the bathroom and they find out that they are going to be having a child, and then go into the dinner scene where they share that information with Ben and Johnny. It would have just flowed so much better and given the film and each individual scene the breathing room that it needed. There is such a thing as a scene overstaying its welcome, but First Steps had an issue where the scenes were understaying their welcome, if you ask me. So our next deleted scene is a scene between Sue and Moleman that Vanessa Kirby has actually discussed being disappointed that it was deleted.
Sue, we agreed you wouldn't do that anymore.
Like we agreed you wouldn't threaten revolt every time.
Your sewer pipes burst. I have people living in excrement under Staten Island.
I dispatched a team to handle that excrement.
Oh, what a grand gesture. Thanks for the big favor. I could give the word and they would rise up.
And Johnny could fly through your tunnels and burn everyone alive. And I could put a force field inside your brain and give you an aneurysm. But we're not going to do that because we're not
Are you all right?
Baby's trying to relocate my stomach.
Yeah, I can hear.
Sorry about that. What is really going on, Harvey, huh? I got people working around the clock on those sewers.
Not my people.
I see. Okay, so how about you get me a list of your best workers and I will run the names over to planning myself.
Okay.
Deal?
Deal. Yes.
We open with Sue taking an elevator down to Subterranea, the world of Moleman and his people. She's holding her nose at the foul smell, a tease at the later mentioned sewage pipe from the surface dwellers that has busted and leaked into Subterranea. Now, as Sue travels down, we see the many layers of sediment that you can stop at along the way, and this scene being cut is just a true shame because it is such an important scene to the overall film. It introduces us to Moleman and Subterranea in a more intimate way than just that brief tease we got in the opening montage. Again, an example where we were told that Moleman and Sue have a good relationship instead of them just showing us. The third act of the film shows the surface world having to go hide down below with their subterranean neighbors, and we see Sue broker this deal for Moleman to help them in their plan to stop Galactus. Imagine if we had been given just this little taste of a scene between Sue and Moleman at the beginning of the film, this deleted scene. We could have gotten this brief moment to just breathe and spend time with these characters, and it would have made the overall movie and its ending feel more impactful. I, for the life of me, don't know why they felt the need to cut this scene, especially when the movie isn't even 2 hours long. Alright, our next deleted scene is called Taking Turns. This is a scene where we get to see Sue and Reed as parents in the middle of the night with a crying baby. You know, something that every single pair of parents deals with a newborn. This deleted scene would have been a great moment to really humanize these characters and show this bonding moment between these two parents and their son.
Well, it's your turn to sleep.
Can't. Are you hungry?
Always.
Close your eyes, babe. Be the smartest man in the world tomorrow. You're safe, babe. Tonight you're safe.
Now, one of the great lines in this scene is,
"Are you hungry?"
Always.
a fun tease to Franklin having the same power cosmic as Galactus and how Galactus wants Franklin to take his place and take on his great hunger.
He possesses the power cosmic, and he will inherit this cursed throne.
Now, what really grinds my gears about this scene being deleted is the fact that this whole movie is about this family facing the pressure of trading their son in exchange for their entire planet being spared from the wrath of Galactus. And this scene is exactly the kind of scene that this movie was missing. This is a scene that shows the very relatable lack of sleep that comes with not only having a newborn and being up and down all hours of the night, but even when the newborn is sleeping, you're constantly waking up to check on them and make sure they're still breathing and that everything is okay. Sue and Reed are in this exact same situation, but dialed to 100 or maybe even 1,000. A giant space god older than the universe itself is coming for their baby. Now, we know that because we're told that, and we're told how much they love their baby, and we're told how awful of a choice and a situation that they are being faced with here. But this down-to-earth, deleted scene showing them as parents in a mundane situation, the baby crying in the middle of the night. It is exactly the kind of scene that we needed to show the audience and to elicit the emotions that you were aiming for, instead of just telling everyone, oh, this is what's happening and you should feel bad about that. Now, lastly, we got this scene between Ben and Sue, which is the least offensive in terms of getting cut from the film. It's not a scene that's an absolute must-have, but again, with as short as this movie was, I don't think it would have hurt to have just left it in. Here's the scene.
How are we coming?
Should be good.
Does that snazzy birthday sweater help you prep faster?
You know, takes a few hours to fuel up no matter what I wear. So, I'm gonna go out for a bit. They can manage.
This scene reminds me of the other deleted scene that we saw glimpses of in the trailer, where we got to see Sue and Ben share a moment in the living room, showing us instead of telling us that Ben is the family's rock. Unfortunately, we have yet to see that scene released. Hopefully we will eventually. Now, keeping a movie tight in the edit is crucial. You want the film to flow. You never want the audience to break and look at their watch, and that's where editing is key. A movie is essentially made 3 times. Once when you write it, a second time when you shoot it, and a third time when you piece it all together in the edit. The editing process is super crucial, not simply because it's where you assemble the film, but it's where you mold the film like a piece of marble into a statue. It's an art of chipping away the fat and unneeded bits to make the overall finished product shine, even if that means cutting a scene that you really love. Listen to any director commentary where they discuss having to remove scenes from their films. It's never easy, but sometimes it's just necessary. The scene in itself may be great, but if it feels like it brings the movie to a halt or distracts from the rhythm of the story you're telling, then it's a sacrifice that has to be made for the greater good of your film.
The small price to pay for salvation.
In short, I am not saying that you should never cut scenes, even great scenes. Deleting scenes from your final cut is an important part of the filmmaking process, but I've been very vocal that Fantastic Four First Steps, it took it a step too far. This movie, it wasn't even 2 hours long, and that's fine. There's no set runtime that a movie has to be for it to be a good movie or a bad movie. A movie should be exactly as long or short as it needs to be. But when you watch First Steps, the movie feels like they are sprinting to the finish line instead of letting us just enjoy the walk or the steps. The steps? Okay, I'll stop. And hey, by the way, be sure to check out our Fantastic Four inspired parody merch up on the merch store, ScreenCrushMerch.com. We've also got this fun Peacemaker inspired collection and some cool Alien parody designs as well. Okay, so this movie was in desperate need of some breathing room and time spent with each of these characters, seeing their small interactions, more scenes at the dinner table. Ben with Alicia would have been nice. Sue and Reed being parents, that's the deleted scene that really pisses me off. I mean, to see that they had all of those important scenes like Sue and Reed waking up in the middle of the night with the baby, and then they just opted to trash them, that infuriates me. And it gives this impression that the filmmakers are just living in fear of losing the attention or the interest of the audience. And don't get me wrong, pacing is super important and keeping your audience engaged is crucial, especially in YouTube videos or even with TV shows, but this is a theatrical film. People are sitting in a movie theater. And while I'm not saying that that's an excuse to have a bunch of filler in your movie to increase the runtime, I hope that filmmakers aren't feeling the need to compete with the ever-shrinking attention span of mankind in the age of TikTok and Reels and all that shit. And I'm not just picking on Fantastic Four. Superman had the exact same problem, and I loved Superman. It's probably my favorite comic book film of the year, but it too felt super rushed and cut down to its bare bones. And at a 2-hour runtime, I think it could have greatly benefited from another 15 minutes of breathing room. Let us see Clark and Lois sitting at the table with Mom, Pa Kent, have that awkward exchange about their relationship status and that meet the the parents' funny scene that you find in so many great love stories. The Fantastic Four is one of the few Marvel properties that I've actually argued would make for a great series rather than a film, because these characters are just so rich and fun to spend time with, even just doing mundane, everyday things. The same is also true, I think, for the X-Men. But that is not to say that a great Fantastic Four movie can't be made. I mean, they came damn close with this one, but I think their fear of making sure it's perfect and didn't have an ounce of fat was ultimately its downfall, and I think these deleted scenes prove to be true what I could feel when I watched this film for the first time, that being that they butchered it. And I hope for future installments they'll correct this problem. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours down in the comments below, and if you're new here, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified every time we upload a new video. For ScreenCrush, I'm Colton Ogburn.